My fiance forced me into her new hobby. I'm not happy about it.
Gross!
So my fiance has taken up cooking during quarantine. Previously, we did not cook much and instead ate out a lot. That's expensive. We could afford it and are generally healthy eaters. Of course, we both can cook, but given how busy we are, it was easier to eat out. Anyone can cook. I'm gonna keep going.
Anyone can cook.
Yeah,
But it just depends on how
great.
good the cooking is, right?
Also, to be honest, I don't really enjoy cooking and see it as a chore to be avoided. I love food, but there are other things I'd rather do with my time. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Cooking, I don't know. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So,
Yes.
due to quarantine, my fiance has decided to actually cook more. And she has found she really enjoys it. This is great. I'm happy for her that she's discovered a new thing that brings her joy. Turns out she's also quite good at it and cares about learning new skills, etc. So I've been benefiting as well. I still don't really care to cook myself, like I said. So in return for her putting all this effort into cooking, I've been helping out by paying for takeout on nights she doesn't want to cook, as well as doing all the dishes and cleaning the counters, etc. for the days when she does cook. As far as I was aware, she agreed that this was a suitable compromise. And of course, if she felt it was unfair, I would have been happy to pick up the slack in other ways. But she seemed happy with this. As her cooking experiments expanded to baking and generally became more elaborate, she started to rope me into cooking. I'd head to the kitchen to get a drink and check on her, and she'd be like, "Oh, can you help me chop this while I saute this?" or something. I would chop her carrots for her or whatever and chat with her about the meal and then head back to whatever I was doing. I didn't mind this at all. But it's slowly grown into me becoming her sous chef, especially when she wants to make meals that are really easier with two people.
I mean, if you're benefiting from the cooking, the least you could do is help.
I don't know. I don't feel bad for this guy.
He's like, yeah, my partner's like picking up cooking. She's actually pretty good at it, but like sometimes she wants me to chop
help?
vegetables.
This is what I do with Sam, and I'll be like, "Hey Sam, like let's cook dinner," and then I'll be like, "Hey, can you help me?" And he's like, "I have to help you?" I'm like, "You're eating it." He's like, "What? You tricked me."
Can I just help you by eating it?
I'm like, "Sam, you have to help." Keep in mind, her cooking experiments are elaborate and sometimes take 2 or more hours. So my entire evening is gone to these cooking endeavors, and this happens multiple times a week. On top of that, she tends to order me around in the kitchen. I could be a little rude. As you can probably predict, we had a fight about it. I told her that I dislike her attitude in the kitchen when I help, and I don't like cooking to begin with. I would feel better about helping her if she wasn't so rude to me. But quite frankly, I don't want to spend 8+ hours every week cooking. It's not my hobby. It's hers.
I don't even eat.
The thing is, if you benefit from the hobby,
and you can't even really call it, it's like a skill.
It's
There's
not
a
a
difference between
hobby.
a hobby and
That's
a
a
life
thing.
skill. This is a skill.
It's a skill.
A hobby
that
is
some people
like
get better at. Like
ultimate frisbee is a hobby.
Yeah, I think when the hobby helps you live,
Yeah.
it's not exactly a hobby.
It's like my hobby is like getting a good night's sleep
I think
drinking enough water.
I don't know. I think baking is more of a hobby.
Oh, don't let the bakers hear you say that.
Well, but I mean, I'm a baker. I think that is more of a hobby.
Clearly not, because that's a lifestyle.
That's not a hobby.
That's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle.
If she wanted me to pitch in by providing meals, I would buy them or make something simple. Sometimes people want like a home cooked meal, you know? Sometimes they don't want you to eat out every day. She was very upset. She said that it wasn't fair that I was enjoying the fruits of her labor, but not contributing. And that cooking took 2 hours, but doing the dishes and cleaning only took half an hour. I told her that it was her decision to make very elaborate meals and that I would be happy if she put together a simple pizza or stir fry. I'm sorry. Sounds a little ungrateful. She's asking for a little help. She wants to hang out with you while you cook together. I think the rudeness, if she's actually being rude to you, that is maybe a problem that could be addressed. But she's cooking for you, man. After a certain point, the elaborateness of her meals crosses into hobby territory. And I resent being made to feel like I'm a bad partner because I don't want to give up multiple evenings to her hobby. Dude, you're not giving it. She's making food for you. It's not like you're not giving up. I don't know. You're just hanging out with her and cooking. We did not really resolve this. I actually bought and made some of my own meals on a few nights, so I wasn't enjoying the fruits of her labor, but this seemed to make her more upset, and our fridge started to fill with more leftovers than she could eat herself. Another time, I ended up helping her, but told her I needed to go to a video chat at 8 p.m., And she got upset when I actually stopped helping to leave, even though I told her beforehand. I told her a little snappishly, I'm afraid, that I wasn't her sous chef to boss around in the kitchen.
Yeah, but you are though, right? Kinda, theoretically, maybe a little bit. Shouldn't you? I mean, do you want to start paying?
The thing is, like, I'm also imagining that she's not really giving him really hard jobs, you know? Like, he's got to chop vegetables and stir stuff.
Yeah, what a hard knock life.
I tried to discuss this with her again when we were feeling calmer. I told her that I loved that she found a new hobby, but it is her hobby, and I can't help with it and don't want to feel obligated to do it. She retorted that it wasn't feminist of me to relegate the cooking to her and benefit from it without helping. The feminism connection makes little sense to me because previously neither of us cooked much, and she chose to take up cooking herself. But of course, I didn't tell her that. I don't know if I like this guy.
Why are you acting like she invented eating?
Yeah, she's like, oh, she's really into her little hobby. Like, okay, sometimes people, you know, you start out, you don't really know how to cook. And so you start out, you're buying a bunch of food out, and then you're like, wow, this is kind of expensive. I kind of want to, you know, learn how to cook on my own. And then you start cooking, and then you're like, oh, I'm doing a lot of work solo now for 2 people. Maybe
yeah, but you know what? It is true.
There,
he's like, you know, why don't you just do it for the love of the game? Why do I have to do that? Why don't you just do it because you're like in love with the process?
Like, you're literally in love with it. You're obsessed with it. I shouldn't have to help at all, even though I'm eating it. I told her that if she wants to discuss the distribution of labor in our house, we can do so and come up with something new that reflects that she's cooking more now. We tried to do this, but she wanted to count all the time she spends cooking as chore time. Well, I mean, if you're eating it.
Nah.
It depends on what she's making.
It's different now.
What?
If you enjoy cooking, if it's a hobby that you like, I don't think it's fair to call that a chore.
I disagree. I love cooking, but sometimes cooking is a chore. Especially when you're very tired.
Well, I guess it's more of just like the emotional flavoring of
I don't know. I think you can enjoy
cooking.
Like, I think you can enjoy something that is also sometimes a chore.
Yeah, I guess like I enjoy vacuuming.
Okay.
I do. I enjoy that.
I do, and I'm not ashamed of it.
And that's a chore.
Yeah. I mean, yes, or like gardening.
You can't eat a vacuum.
That's true.
But I think we're on to something here.
if you were like, I enjoy vacuuming, and then I was like, perfect, you vacuum all the time, and I'm never gonna help you vacuum.
I'd be like, yes.
But like, I don't do any more chores, even like to reflect that you're doing more vacuuming. You'd be like, well, I enjoy it, but I'm still doing stuff to help around the house, and you're not doing anything more.
Yeah, but I think that would be a separate issue outside of the vacuum because I love the game.
Okay, Dakota really loves vacuuming, everyone.
I'm a player of the game.
So according to her ideal chore distribution, she spends 10 plus hours cooking dinner only every week, which somehow leaves me with pretty much all the rest of the chores. So wait, hold on. So what you're saying is is she cooking on the week every day of the week? We have 7 days of the week.
Right, and she does her
10
favorite
plus
thing.
hours. That means she's doing maybe an hour and a half of cooking every night.
Which probably feels like 10 minutes to her because she loves it so much.
She loves it so much. I don't know why he's complaining. He's saying 10 plus hours like it's this huge number, but that's realistically like an hour and a half every night.
Right.
Maybe 2, which is like pretty normal for cooking. I don't know what his...
Buddy doesn't know what cooking is.
I told her I wasn't happy with this because making elaborate meals is a hobby. It isn't fair that, say, 6 out of 10 hours of her chores is actually her hobby. And I have to do an equivalent amount of actual chores, if that makes sense. So we're at a bit of an impasse. Am I actually being a bad feminist? I don't think I am wrong. I'm quite familiar with emotional labor, mental load, all that. But maybe I am. I love this woman and obviously want to marry her, but we're usually good at making decisions logically. And this is the first time we've had such a disagreement. I don't know how to get her to understand the boundary between cooking as a necessary activity and cooking as a hobby. I would appreciate your advice, and there are some comments. But
so yeah,
I have to remember any of the thoughts that I had before this happened.
I remember mine, so I'll start because it feels like where we're at in the story is less about what's like who needs to change, and it's really more like a what is a chore.
Yeah.
What classifies something as work.
Question.
And it's like, it sounds like from the end of that, OP's just like, well, if she was making gruel and slop, then it would be different.
Well, that's kind of he's like, if I made easy meals, he's like, if I made pasta with butter every night, You'd be fine. And
Right.
it's like, well, she wants something a little more sophisticated.
But, if you're like, well, it took me 8 hours to make a dozen French macaroons, so I did 8 hours worth of chores. It's like, no, you didn't. Nuh-uh.
Like exact. I agree. But I could actually use my mom as a great example. She is an excellent cook, cooks very healthy, great meals. They probably take her, depending on the meal, but like roughly an hour to do. And she likes cooking and she's very good at it. And she's making, maybe more elaborate meals than the average household, but that's still a chore. She's still making food for multiple people. That's, she's doing something that is not inherently a selfish hobby. She's doing something for the betterment of herself, but also mostly the people that she's cooking for.
Right. Like if I was like playing like a video game and I was like grinding, like doing some repetitive thing for experience points.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, babe, I've actually been doing basically chores for 5 hours.
Yeah, that's totally different.
That's not really a chore.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing something that I am choosing to actively do, but it provides nothing.
Yeah. Red Bull Rana says, and then he said he would pick up some more slack, but now she says it means all the other chores, which is where I think she's in the wrong. I think they need to meet in the middle, and he's on the one end going, well, that's not a chore at all, so I shouldn't have to do any more chores.
Right.
Or like, he's like saying that it's not indicative of her doing any extra work, which is not true. Whereas she's saying, well, I'm doing all of this extra work, so I shouldn't have to do anything else. And it's like, well, no. You still have to help out with other stuff.
If these really were a couple of logical individuals, you'd
which
think
they
they'd have some
claim
kind
to be.
logical chart or some kind of schedule for or just drawing straws. Draw chores out of a hat for the week.
Truly.
Like literally randomize it. So that's fair.
But we've got some comments. So let's see what Reddit thinks of this guy. Comment 1, the best way I've ever heard this type of resentment described was by David Schnarch. Schnarch. In Passionate Marriage.
Dude's name is Schnarch.
Schnarch. Essentially, he says that when one partner forces the other to do things they enjoy, it feels like togetherness to them. Yeah, I mean, that's probably part of why she wants it, because she wants to hang out with him.
Dude, I gotta lock back in. I'm still hooked on Schnarch, dude.
But when they are the one being forced to participate, it feels like being controlled. Comment 2 says, honestly, if he is using a million pots and pans, then he's doing it wrong. You don't need a new container for every ingredient. You just have to organize yourself in a way that will add ingredients as you go. I'm also really quick, circling back. He said that it took him 30 minutes to do the dishes. I don't think it takes that long. Unless she's using like 20 different dishes for these meals.
Maybe they're all cast iron.
Or maybe they don't have a dishwasher. That is a possibility. But they said they have a fair bit of money because they have takeout money. So I feel like they probably have a dishwasher. In which case I'm circling back again, and I think that you're taking too long to do the dishes.
I think just hiring someone else to do all of the chores at this point.
Yeah, if you have the money for takeout, if you have takeout money, I don't know. Yeah, you use the money that you're saving on cooking.
Yeah, if you're just like, me and my wife, we just can't get over this. And it's like, we'll pay someone else to do it then.
Wasn't this also during the
COVID? You're right.
Oh, so
guys, that's why they're stuck together for like every day for hours. That's why all these problems are happening.
She keeps cooking and I just want microwave corn dogs.
I personally blame those cooking videos where every ingredient is laid out in a different bowl. That's obviously just for show. You can reuse things like weighting scales without washing as long as you put the dry stuff in first. You can reuse a bowl that had tomatoes in for the onions. You can reuse the same knife. What is this commenter talking about?
I don't know. Like
that commenter was stupid.
I'm not cooking.
The commenter was like, "Are you using different bowls for everything?" How was that
just
relevant?
Put everything in one bowl. It's the everything bowl.
Comment 3, I've spent a long time in food service and I'm good friends with chefs. This has taught me that one of the biggest components of getting food made quickly is prep, something that is literally a full-time job. If this is really her passion project, she should do more prep. That means having things chopped, marinated, and sauces and such prepared as much ahead of time as you can. Cooking is an ordeal when you don't prep properly and are doing everything on the fly. 1 or 2 days a week devoted to prep would make your lives a lot easier. Opie says this would make a lot of sense if she wasn't whimsically picking things to make every couple of days. Like she'll be browsing recipes online, then decide to make butternut squash lasagna or something that very day. Sounds like you're living the life, man.
Yeah, this guy's really just like, yeah, my wife keeps finding new things to cook, and she's kind of good at it. What do I do?
I don't know.
I have to do laundry and clean the house.
The thing is, I like cooking, so this isn't a great example, but I think if I had someone who was like a full-time cook for me, I'd be okay doing every other chore.
I mean,
not that it is a fair distribution. I'm just saying on me personally. If someone was feeding me like great meals, I'd be like, this is my live-in chef.
I
But
think
I understand. I understand what he's coming from in terms of distribution.
And he hates doing it, right? He does not enjoy doing the cooking.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think you should just work out a system where it's like, look, you just keep cooking a delicious, amazing stuff.
Maybe she has to cook lunch and
I'll handle
breakfast
it.
now too. You know, maybe that's the trade-off.
Just have her cook everything, and then you clean everything, and then you get fed, and she has
Yeah.
clean house, and then it's over, and everything's fine.
And go to the store and buy the necessary ingredients. We are fairly well stocked, but there'll always be something or other unique to the recipe she selected that she has to run out and get. I suppose I could suggest meal planning to her, but part of the fun seems to be spinning the recipe wheel that day to see what we get. Reply says, how about a weekly meal? Maybe you can even make her a fancy menu page to update every week. She can pick her recipes and add them to the menu and list out the ingredients she needs. And there is an update. SEXIST says, good for wifey. She found something to keep her mind busy during quarantine. Again, this is pretty relevant information that this is during quarantine when a lot of people were exploring hobbies like cooking and making bread. Like that was a pretty big thing.
Yeah, dude, imagine if she just like picked up, heavy metal drumming or something. I would be way more annoyed about that probably instead of being cooked for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, dude. Any grown man complaining about doing chores, just weird. Weird to me.
But there is an update. So let's see what the update says. My original post blew up in a way I totally wasn't expecting. It seems a lot of people could personally relate to my post in some way, so I hope it's been helpful to others apart from myself. Thanks very much to everyone who commented. I wasn't able to reply to everyone, obviously, but I did read as much as I could. There are a few things I'd like to clear up since they kept coming up. She is not doing this because she wants to spend more time together. Previously, we would spend most of our evenings together watching shows or playing video games. Now that she's spending 8+ hours cooking by herself, I don't see her as much. And she is too tired from cooking sometimes to spend time with me. So that's something that's been bugging me about this that I haven't even realized. It is especially bothersome to me because I work 50+ hours a week and she still works full-time as well, though her schedule is much more flexible. So now I feel like my already meager free time and quality time with her is being cut into, which might be one of the most important aspects of this whole issue. Her motivation is not to save money or be more healthy. We live in a big city where we are able to order lots of homemade style ethnic food from mom and pop type places that isn't overly salted or oily to appeal to the masses. It's at least as healthy as the normal diet of a Mexican, Indian, Thai, Ethiopian, etc. person. Furthermore, we make a very comfortable income and don't want kids. So money is not an issue. So I sat her down and talked to her again because we're both in a good mood. But when I brought up the topic, she started to become annoyed simply because this is a point of contention and I guess she didn't want to talk about it. I told her that I'm invested in solving this problem and that if we're unable to do so, we can bring it up during couples counseling. We had already intended to go before the wedding, purely for premarital counseling, but now I feel as if there is an actual problem we have to discuss during the session, and if we can get an appointment sooner rather than later, I would be open to doing so. This seemed to make it real for her. She seemed to be truly taken aback that I wanted to go to counseling over this. Well, not over this specifically, but that I wanted to involve a counselor at all in the cooking issue. She even became teary-eyed. I felt bad, so I asked her if there was anything else bothering her that was really at the root of this. And she said that she's overall felt pretty depressed by the pandemic and quarantine and everything, which is what I said. Yeah, she's trying to find a way to relieve all of the stress.
Yeah.
And, just awfulness of being cooped up and probably, spending time with maybe she needs that alone time. That's not just working, something that she really enjoys. I told her I could relate and let her cry it out a bit. When she gotten past that, I didn't want the conversation to lose its steam. So I brought up the following things. I love that her new hobby is making her happy. And I appreciate that she's making lots of delicious food for us to enjoy. These are the problems I have identified, which I would like to find solutions for. 1, we used to spend a lot more time together. I would like to have more easy meals so we can go back to spending quality quality time together on TV, video games, etc., like we used to.
I would argue that neither of those activities well, maybe video games,
Maybe video
but
games.
TV especially, not a really quality time spent with someone.
I just have like the thing is like it's hard for me to fully relate to this guy really quick because whenever I'm cooking and a friend is over, so much talking happening.
Right.
Even if they're not necessarily, like a lot of times I'll be cooking and my friend will be sitting and just watching me cook
Like, that's quality time.
and we're talking. That I consider that quality time.
It is. That is quality time.
Yeah. And so I'm confused why he's not just like, and he did bring up that she can be rude in the kitchen, so that's maybe a thing to address. But like that can be for me is quality time. So I'm wondering why it's not for him.
Well, yeah. I think this is less an issue of quality time and more like I want to do the things that I like doing or that we both liked doing.
Like,
But,
even if I
like-
was like, for example, like even if I'm like,
Because if it was an issue of quality
Yeah.
time, he would just be there,
He would just
like
be there.
talking to
Exactly.
his partner while
like
she's
even like,
cooking.
let's say like I'm folding laundry, someone's there talking to me, quality time.
Quality time.
I'm going to get gas, someone's in the car with me. Like one of my
Both
favorite
of
things
your
to do
eyes-
is doing errands.
Yeah, all eyes on the screen watching a thing and
That's
then
not
going,
quality
whoa.
time.
It's not quality time. I mean, you're spending time together.
Yeah, like maybe
it's
you're
different.
cuddling or whatever, but I think that it's less active quality time.
Right.
I do not mind helping a little or hanging out while she's cooking, but the disrespect in the kitchen absolutely has to stop, which is I think that is a fair request. In future, I will be getting up and leaving if she's rude to me in the kitchen. The unfeminist comment was a low blow, and I would like an apology. Oh, he's like, I am a feminist. Don't you dare say otherwise. I love women.
Right.
I am a
I am a feminist. I am a feminist. And there are, look, really quickly, because I see some comments being like, TV is quality time. And it's like, it's coming from a
I
place
think it is
of like.
a different type of quality time.
Exactly,
I think
yeah,
it is
it's like-
a inactive quality time. I think that like
Right.
being in the kitchen with someone, talking to them, that is active quality time.
Right. It's a it's a
Also
passive
depends
activity.
on how you're
instead
watching
of
TV,
a,
because some people talk a lot during TV.
You know. Yeah.
Passive is the word I was looking for. Thank you. She said she understood these things and apologized for the unfeminist. That is the funniest part of the story. I'm sorry, you're a feminist. Okay. I think that's so funny.
Yeah.
We worked out a meal schedule where I would be responsible for providing meals 2 times a week, and she would cook elaborate meals on weekends. I like that. One designated night would be for both of us to cook a simpler meal together as a couple's activity. I asked her if there was anything about this she wanted to bring up about how I was behaving or how she feels, and she said no. That she really was just depressed by quarantine and had dived into her new hobby. Hopefully, if there is something else, she will bring it up later. That was a night where she was to cook a simpler meal for us, and as a show of good faith, I decided to help her out and see if she could be more chill and suggested we do all the prep first, as someone had suggested. It started off fine, but she started to become snappish as she juggled frying in 2 different pans and wanted me to keep her handing her prepped ingredients, so I went back to my room. By the way, you should come back to full episodes with us, which you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio. Just search up OK Storytime.
All you need to do, it's pretty simple.
Woo! But there is a little bit left to the story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, yeah, like
I think I kind of figured it out.
they did. I feel like, most of this is probably just like being locked in the house.
I think it is being
type
locked
stuff.
in the house. I think it was really hard
Yeah.
for everyone to be locked in the house with the same people. I can tell you it was hard living with my parents, and I got fed great meals, but it's hard. It's hard. I think you guys communicated well. I think she may be the type of person who wants people to help and also simultaneously gets stressed in the kitchen,
Yeah.
which is my mother. And we love them. Cooks great meals.
Hard to cook with someone who gets angry in the kitchen.
It is. But there is a little bit left to this story. I felt very bad because I was leaving her in a bit of a tough spot, but I also felt like I needed to stand by what I said because I did not want to put up with her poor treatment of me. On top of that, I had a really difficult day at work. My job involves working with people who have very tough lives, and I end up heartbroken and emotionally drained quite frequently. This has become exacerbated due to the pandemic, so I really just did not want to deal with my own partner being mean to me. Ultimately, the dinner turned out fine, but she was pretty icy to me. I praised the meal a bit more than I usually did, but she was sour all night. I've started looking to get a couples counseling appointment soon. I wish I had a happier update for you, but hopefully things will get better with our new meal schedule as we continue to implement it and I continue to set boundaries. I will also be keeping an eye on her depression and suggest individual therapy if it seems appropriate. And that is the end of that story.
Ooh-wee. You know what?
Ooh-wee.
Here's another thought, right?
That's another thought.
I don't know if this is the good path or the bad path, but you're like, well, that's a hobby, not a chore. Why don't you develop
Another hobby that
where you go in, you know, you're crafting items for the house
gardening.
in a like some kind of woodworking or stonemasonry.
Oh, I was gonna say like start growing like veggies and stuff that your wife can cook with.
That's actually better than anything I was saying. I was saying basically to make your wife get annoyed with your new chore hobby and then call it a chore instead of a hobby. And then maybe she would be like, oh, I see now. I should be maybe not just saying me cooking is the only thing I should be doing.
So you're saying go the passive aggressive route.
Yeah, but like that's more of a joke. Like probably don't do that, you know? If anything, do the gardening so that you can at least grow
stuff.
Some objects that you can eat.
Yeah, but that's the
wife.
end of that story, folks.
Boy.
And we got another one for you.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, let's do it. We ready?
Yeah.
My boyfriend mocks my financial status, but he said it's only a joke.
It's just a joke, babe.
It's just a joke, brokey. My boyfriend and I have been dating for about 9 months. We've known each other almost 2 years, and things have been okay. There are a few hiccups here and there, but we've mostly worked those out.
Things are just okay.
It's great. Always great to be in an okay relationship. Right. My boyfriend works in an office and makes pretty good money, enough that both of us could live on it, as he's always telling me, unprompted. I, however, am on disability and have been ever since I turned 19. I've had little part-time jobs here and there, but nothing too high paying or anything, as I would lose my disability. By the way, this comes from user Just Another Throwaway, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, we never spoke much about how much either of us made or where our income came from until 3 months ago, when he started talking about moving in together. A reason I don't date much is because I'm always ashamed to tell people where my income comes from, as my disability isn't exactly something you can tell from just looking at me. By the way, I've never asked him to pay anything for me. We've often gotten coffee when we go out, or one of us gets a little treat for the other. I live at home right now and have told him that I'm okay with moving in, but that I wouldn't be able to contribute as much as he would be able to. That prompted the quote-unquote serious talk about income. I told him how I got my money, and he was quiet for a long time. He said he never would have guessed, and now my weird schedule made sense, and continued talking about moving in together. Since I thought everything was okay, I agree, and we started looking for places. This is where things have started getting annoying and downright hurtful. We've seen a few places since we started looking, but mostly we have just been looking at places online. We'll be looking on his laptop and see a place and start talking about what each of us wants or doesn't want. Sometimes if I disagree with something he wants or doesn't want, he'll joke and say something like, I'm not sure you should have much to say about XYZ, as you won't be paying as much as I will. Or, my money talks louder than yours and says this is what we should get or not get.
Ooh, that's not a partnership.
Yeah.
That's not a partnership.
But the part we're all missing is that then he laughs and says,
brokey.
You know, I'm just joking. I care about your opinions because you'll be living there. But you're lying.
That doesn't hit as much when you precede it with, my money talks louder than yours, actually.
Yeah, that's like, it's not really a joke. It's like throwing a water balloon at someone and being like, just kidding.
Just kidding.
You already hit me with the balloon.
It's too late. I'm wet.
Can you undo it?
Nope.
Okay, so twice as we've been looking at places, he's joked to our potential landlord that they shouldn't ask me any questions because the only thing I'm really doing... What?
I said, oh.
What? Oh,
that was
sorry.
me.
I thought I heard Keon say something because I am hallucinating from how much caffeine I've had today.
Okay.
Nightmare.
So yeah, he's saying the landlord shouldn't ask me any questions because the only thing I'm really doing is just putting my name on the lease or the rental agreement. I've never felt so embarrassed in my life, so I'll go off and look at the rest of the place and avoid him and the landlord. This is not the only thing, as he jokes about a lot of things, especially since he found out about my income. He'll say things like, I'm so tired after working all day, I wish I could just sit around like you do. Or, it must be nice to get to sleep in every day, I wish I could do that, but if I don't work, I couldn't take care of myself. And they all feel like little digs at me.
They are digs at you. They're
Right.
big digs. He's an archaeologist, and this is a big dig.
Well, I mean, like, that's like a logical...
I'm sorry. That was great. Recognize that was great. Thank you. Okay, continue.
That was the limpest handshake. What happened? Get in there. There we go. I do agree, though, that it's like if you're with a partner and they don't have to work and you do have to work,
Yeah.
it is only natural for you to be like, damn, I wish I could do that.
Sure.
I literally can't.
Sure.
But it all comes down to your intent and your energy.
And he's definitely disrespecting you.
Yeah. Now, I've known my boyfriend for almost 2 years. He lived with his parents before we started dating, where he didn't pay rent or help with bills and didn't do anything around the house. His mother and father will go on and on and on about that if it comes up, even though he had a job. He's also not good with saving, so even though he was living rent-free at home, he did not have anything saved up. I've helped my parents with bills and helped around the house and have a very small savings, yet he keeps talking down on me as if all I do is just sit at home all day, collect a check, and don't do anything with it. Believe me, if I could work regularly like him, I would be working. It just seems like he's gotten super snobby or something since this came to light, and it's been grating on my nerves. I've spoken to him on numerous occasions about this, but all he says is that I'm taking it too seriously and making a big deal out of nothing and refuses to talk about it any further. So this is like the classic, and I was actually guilty of this in one of my previous relationships, of just being like, well, I'm just kidding. And then someone's being like, hey, but that made me feel this way. And I'd be like, but I was just kidding.
It's like intention doesn't matter. It's the effect.
It's like, oh, wait, your feelings are getting hurt. Okay, so I shouldn't kid around with you about that because it's clear that it's just hurting your feelings.
Yeah. It is,
and it's my fault.
It is the comedian rule. Your audience is not at fault. You are just not delivering jokes that they like.
Well, yeah, and especially if you're being a comedian in a context where no one has paid to see you in a room and you're just like hanging out, you're not a comedian.
Yeah.
You're just a guy
but
talking
like,
to somebody.
Even a comedian.
But that still holds true.
If you're doing a joke and everyone's like, you can't be like, you guys suck.
It's literally the worst. I went to a show. Riley brought me to a show where the host did that and turned the entire room against everyone in the show.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you guys all paid to be here. You know that, right? You can laugh. And everyone was just like, who is this guy? Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've asked if he is fine with the fact that I don't work regularly. And he says he's fine with it, and that, of course, he makes enough for both of us to live on, so it's not a problem. However, again, he'll throw in a dig and undo anything good he said. This is the reason I hate dating in relationships, because unless you've got some amazing job somewhere, people think you're just some slob or something, and it makes me feel so bad, like I don't deserve to be dating anyone. And while I've thought about leaving, I keep thinking I shouldn't leave because will I ever find another guy who's okay with my income? And before we get into this edit, I think I just need to say, OP,
you haven't found that guy.
Have you talked to your partner about your disability, though? Because you've said that it's not something that you can really see on the surface, but like, have you explained to your partner that it's like, hey, I'm on disability because of this thing, not just because I'm like,
lazy.
I want to sleep in all day.
Yeah.
I have a thing. We don't know what it is. We don't.
Well, I think the first step would be to have that conversation. However, the fact that he's not even been a little bit curious about why this is your setup and is instead kind of saying that he's fine with it, but also guilting you and making you feel bad and less than. That's not even the way that OP's talking about the relationship, like it's going, okay, oh, why dating sucks. It's like she's already kind of checked out of this relationship a little bit.
Yeah, it's just it could be a case of like you attract what you like or or what's it called? Sorry, I'm butchering this. You see what you expect. So if you're expecting somebody to like think less of you for being on disability, you're even more likely to perceive disrespect, towards your disability. And I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm just saying that if you're walking into something like, and as soon as he finds out I'm on disability, now he's going to completely think differently of me. You'll probably find reasons or like you'll see things that make you think, oh, now he thinks differently or less of me. And it might not be true, but clearly he's giving in this context, in this situation, that it sounds like the truth, and he's trying to just play it off.
I don't think that OP's like, oh, everyone's going to do that. I don't think everyone will do that.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, let's find out more in the edit.
So, thank you all for your comments, and to anyone I couldn't get back to. I've just got a lot on my mind to think about after reading all these comments, and some things have come to my attention. I think the situation is actually more serious than I thought it was. That he was just mean when it came to joking, but apparently this is a sign of verbal and emotional abuse, and I just know I don't want to be in a situation like that. I'm going to talk to him and see what he has to say and go from there. Thank you all again. Comment number 1 here, we have some comments. His joking is really showing you what he thinks of you. And if he will not stop after you have asked him, more than once even, then it says how little he respects you. At this time, I say, do not move in with him. You will regret it, because he will make those comments every time something needs to be paid, and every opinion you have will be vetoed because he pays for such and such. If you like or love him, then just tell him his actions show you that you two are not quite ready to live together, but maybe still need time to just date for a longer period. Comment 2, quoting back OP, and while I've thought about leaving, I keep thinking I shouldn't leave, because will I ever find another guy who is okay with my income? Look, I'm going to say something really, really blunt that applies, in my fairly uneducated opinion, to a lot of absolutist thinking. Even if this is the case, so what? You break up with someone and you'll be alone. Okay, shrug. Except for like any friends you've made, any family you have, and anyone you might meet. Being with someone who makes you feel degraded, who makes you feel lonely, is worse than actually being alone a lot of the time. I mean, obviously we all need social contact, but when you are alone, you can make tea.
So true.
That is a great point. You can paint, write, do projects, watch TV, chill. Go for a walk, like literally whatever. What about being alone is so scary, OP? The answer is different for everyone. OP replies, I guess I just let my thinking get in my way. Not to mention the few relationships I've had, they all fell apart once the income thing came up. And I do plan to talk to him one more time and let him know I'm completely serious about him stopping these jokes because they aren't funny to me in any way. And we do have an update.
I think, just communication. You gotta communicate first, and if that doesn't work, then this is not the relationship for you. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, I'll never find anyone who's completely fine with it, so I might as well settle for this guy who's like kind of fine with it, but makes me feel really bad about it. Like, let's not settle for slop.
I mean, it is, this is the communication is everything here. It's like you need to explain exactly how you feel. You need to explain exactly what your situation is. And it's like, because, there's a certain male love language that is had. Keon knows this because I do it to him all the time.
What's that?
Where we degrade each other.
Oh, I love it.
Ruthlessly.
It's friendly bullying.
And then we smile and hug and kiss about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so sometimes between male and female, like, that'll get lost. Like it can happen. And I'm not trying to give this guy an excuse.
I mean, I do it with Carly from time to time, and she does it back to me. Sometimes we're like, "Whoa," and we're like, "No, we're just joking." We're like, "Okay, I love you."
Yeah, but
this one's too
far.
Right because she's told him where the boundaries are, and he's still not listening, which makes it not okay. He's just being disrespectful.
Yeah,
but there is a chance he's just rock brain not getting this.
But if she's already told him,
doesn't mean that it's not a reason to be concerned with the relationship.
Behind.
Again, it's that mindset of
do you want to date a rock?
It's that mindset of Dakota was like, hey, stop it. That hurts my feelings. I'm like, no, I'm triple downing.
Yeah, it's like,
now I'm getting somewhere. Now we're making progress.
If you tell your broski that something hurt your feelings, they're gonna do it again.
I know where the hole in the armor is.
I found it.
I'm under your skin. Now I'm going to be in your skin.
All right, but let's get into this update.
The bugs are in your skin. Update. I spoke to my boyfriend the day after I responded to a lot of you. I decided I was going... Sorry, I just saw Carly's comment. Carly, it says, I just look at Keon and go, why do you hate me? I decided I was going to talk to him one more time and set a boundary about these jokes that he was telling, or tell him I wasn't moving in with him and that maybe we need to reevaluate the relationship. I told him I wanted to have a serious discussion, and he immediately asked if I wanted to break up with him because he figured it was coming. I was taken aback because I didn't expect that reaction. I didn't say anything at first, but then I told him that I wanted to talk to him about his jokes and honestly his behavior in general when it comes to people and making fun of them in such a mean way, especially when they've asked him to stop. I also did a little reading on verbal abuse and abuse in general, and things were a lot more clear. So he listened to me, and then he told me that he didn't like people trying to change him, and that his last girlfriend had tried to do the same, and she couldn't accept him for who he was. He thought I would be different because I was more understanding and fun. I'll admit that is probably one of my flaws, that I try to understand everyone's position about most things and give them far too many chances. There are exceptions, but for the most part, I will try to understand someone and work with them on it. I asked him if his ex and the overweight friend were the only ones who had left him over this behavior. He told me that he'd lost a lot of friends and dating was hard because women tended to cut out pretty quickly, again in his words, because people are too sensitive and want him to change how he is.
I I hate this
Dang, dude.
thinking of I shouldn't have to change who I am. I'm perfect the way I am. It's like, whoa.
It's like, no. Yeah, like clearly you're pushing people away because you're very abrasive.
And you're insulting people. And you're being a bully.
Yeah, like,
that's why you don't have friends. You're bullying your friends.
Oh,
and then they leave you. It's like when everyone leaves you continuously, maybe there's a common thread here. And it's you.
Everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
Everyone else isn't cool enough to hang with my sick burns. And he's probably just like calling his overweight friend just like, what's up, Fatty McFatterson? Fatty pants? And they're like, hey, that actually really bothers me and hurts my feelings. And then he's just like,
you're so
all right,
sensitive.
Shut up.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, well, I guess I'll stop hanging out with you. And he's like, why is the world so cruel to funny people?
Yeah. It's like you're bad at comedy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. So he seemed very stuck on being accepted as he is and angry about people trying to change him. I changed direction and asked him if he actually thought anything was wrong with what he said. I used my experience specifically and told him about how I felt when we were looking at places, and he said what he said to the potential landlords. And for anyone who was not here when we were talking about that part of the story, he was basically telling the landlords, don't talk to little Miss Broke Girl over here. She's not even making any money. I'm the one making the decisions. So just let her wander around.
Just crazy because she is providing money.
Right.
Like she's getting disability checks.
So he, of course, said that they were just jokes and that he'd never think less of me because of how much money I made, because he kind of figured I didn't make a lot because of how I tended to do things. I asked him to elaborate, and he said how I was always on things like Groupon or using coupons at stores or wanting to go out when places had specials or something, and he was never around anyone who needed to do that type of thing. It's like, yeah, I'm completely, the concept of saving money is alien to me.
Don't understand. I don't get it. It's weird.
I figured you had to be flat broke because coupons. Yeah. So I told him that I did think he has a problem with people who earn less and don't live a similar lifestyle to him, and that maybe he just didn't see it. That sometimes we are trying to be good because we have these thoughts of how we should be on the surface and we try to follow them, but when it's more close to home, our real feelings come out because we're faced with it more. I told him that it was okay, but that I didn't think it would work for us, that he might be more comfortable with someone who makes the same amount as him and can contribute how he'd like. He interrupted me and told me he didn't want someone like that because he couldn't be himself around someone obsessed with money and material things, which is not what I said, by the way, which is like, yeah. She's just like, maybe you should be with someone who makes the same amount of money as you because you seem like really fixated on it. He's like, well, I couldn't possibly do that because that means that they're just completely materialistic and obsessed with money.
So then he circles back around. So he makes fun of you for being broke, and then if someone has money, he's like, here, you go, you love money. You're the worst. You're so greedy.
Which is weird because is that a projection or like?
I have no idea.
Just like a...
I think he just wants to critique everyone around him.
He's a terrible listener, a horrendous listener. So he was saying that these money-obsessed people would be too concerned with money, and he liked me because I wasn't that way. I kind of ignored that, but it kind of told me that he either doesn't want someone who has as much power in the relationship as he has, or he thinks women who want more or expect more of him are gold diggers or something, trying to take advantage of him in some way. I don't know. Anyway, I continued and even told him that if he felt they were just jokes, they were wearing on me and my self-esteem, and I couldn't live that way, regardless of his intent. I also told him that it's natural for people to not want to change when they've been a certain way for a long time. And so it seems right to us, but that change can be good, and that maybe therapy could be good at helping with that. I told him that it's wonderful to be accepted for who you are, but if who you are is, well, clownish, people are a lot less likely to accept you unless they are also clowns.
Who you are sucks.
Well, wait, I want to know what the actual word was because I think clown was an edit there.
I don't think so.
Because it's clown space S.
Oh.
Because I was about to say, I'm a clown.
I like clowns.
People tend to like that.
Idiot.
But it could be,
idiotic.
But look, this guy's not being an idiot or a clown. He's just being rude. He's just being like, because it's, again, the comedy philosophy. There are rules of engagement for conversation that like exist. Like you're not just like a stand-up routine walking around your life. Like when people make the social contract to go to a comedy show, they understand people might say things that hurt their feelings or disagree with.
Yeah, sure. If you're standing in the front row, you might get made fun of.
Social contract.
Different.
Just talking to your friends.
Different.
They're not paying any money to listen to you. Anyway, and nothing good can come from a bunch of clowns getting together because they'll be toxic to other people as well as to each other. Oh yeah, dude, when a bunch of clowns get together and start fighting, they start squirting those little water flowers at each other.
What is it?
I think it's brutal.
I was trying to do but I can only think of I was trying to think of that. Anyway.
And the shoes. Oh, the shoes. Those kicks are brutal.
Yeah.
So I told him I think he is better than that he deserves much better, that any woman he truly loves deserves much better than being verbally mistreated and made to feel like they aren't his equal or worthy. He sat there and didn't say anything for a while, just looked at me and sighed a lot. Oh, I was almost like, I was like, maybe, is it sinking in?
No.
But he's going,
I guess you can be freaking cater to your sensitivities.
Can't believe my girlfriend's not funny, dude.
She doesn't even get humor.
He finally said he was disappointed in me for wanting to abandon him because he thought we were true soulmates and he couldn't believe I was saying such harmful stuff about him.
This man, unfortunately, is never going to learn that he is the problem because it is so out of the realm of possibility for him.
Brother's getting his own feelings hurt right now and being like, hey, stop, and not understanding that's exactly what everyone else in his life asked.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You can dish it, but can't take it.
Buddy, you got to start dating your own reflection and just ponder. You got to ponder for a long time. Oof. Oh, I was shocked. He was calling me harmful because I didn't think I was harming him at all by telling him why I don't want to continue if this is how he will act and that the way he acts is, well, not good. Maybe I went a little far in saying anything about a future girlfriend, but I guess I wanted to impress upon him that if his friends and partners keep leaving because of his behavior, everyone will keep leaving if the behavior doesn't change. The only partners willing to stay will be someone who dishes it just as well as they take it, and he knows he's actually very sensitive and wouldn't like that. Or it'll be someone who lacks any self-esteem, and he'll make her feel even worse about herself until she breaks down. Like I could feel myself getting to that point, and that's why I'm so angry and frustrated. Not only with the fact that he was now turning all of this around to me being abusive, but that he still didn't really seem to get what I was saying about my feelings. It made me realize, yes, I need to leave this situation, and I do feel bad about it because I do feel like I'm abandoning him, which you're not. He's pushed you away.
But yeah.
Quite literally.
Yep.
At the same time, it just doesn't seem like my feelings, or anyone else's for that matter, are important to him. So why should I stay with someone who doesn't seem to get that his behavior isn't exactly such that gets people to stay in his life? I realized I probably wasn't going to get through to him, and the conversation itself had me shaking because I was upset and disappointed myself. However, looking back, I could see signs that this is who he is. Other people's feelings just don't mean a lot to him. And doing some soul searching, I realized that I stupidly thought he would change over time. But waiting on that is wearing on me, and our last conversation tells me that he doesn't see anything wrong with what he does. So it's unlikely he will ever change. He didn't seem interested in saying anything else besides that he was sorry I felt the way I did, which is like,
this guy's infuriating.
Again, the most like,
sorry your feelings were hurt.
Yeah, sorry that your feelings are making you feel that way. Not my problem. Sorry that you don't have it together. My bad. I told him that I thought we needed to give up on things and find someone better for ourselves elsewhere. He didn't say anything, so I just left. A few hours later, I got a confusing text from him telling me that he hadn't seen who I was and that I had harmful tendencies. I didn't respond, and I just blocked him. Thank God.
Yeah, he's not gonna understand anything.
Yes. I blocked him on everything. I'm sad things ended the way they did, but it was probably for the best. It'll either be good alone, or I'll find someone who I work better with. And I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. And sorry if I didn't get back to anyone. I've been quite torn up over this, even though it was my decision. I miss him more as a friend than a partner, but I don't think being friends would work out too well either. So I'm just leaving it. But, you know what? You never really have to leave. You can always just grab it. Full episodes with stories just like this that you can listen to at any time, any place, so long as you have a mobile listening device and access to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, literally any podcast platform of your choice. Just search OK Storytime. You can listen to everything we've ever said.
It's true. It's freaking true.
It's a monumental task, and we've got a little bit of story left here. I think we've,
we've already said, you tried, you had the conversation, he's not listening, so you're no longer responsible to teach him how to be a nice person.
And it's a real shame because, it sounded for the whole story like, he just needs to be with someone who like is going to roast the ever-loving crap out of him.
Yeah, but he can't take it.
But he can't take it,
but
which
that's
is
the thing.
literally...
It's like he can't even take a person who is like that.
Pathetic. To be the guy who dishes all that stuff and then you can't take any of it, you're like, you're fundamentally operating from an incorrect place. Don't be this guy is what I would say to everyone watching and listening.
Be so much better than this guy.
So he didn't seem interested in saying anything else besides that he was sorry I felt the way I... wait, what? Wait, hold on.
Oh, I think I just copied.
Oopsies.
That's the end of the story.
Well, hey, guess what? That was the end of the story. Yep. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
That
Moral of the
is
story, don't be that guy.
Do not be that guy.
But
rock, paper, scissors. No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. No.
But
that's
the
end
of
the
episode.
So
if
you
love
us,
make
sure
you
subscribe.
We
love
you
and
see you tomorrow.